On In the Zone, we'll rediscover volleyball. The Brooklyn Aces' inaugural season is icy hot at the Aviator. Skills and Drills is frozen on the pond. And Gershwin Junior High School's drum line is on a drum roll. Some athletes use music as a motivational tool to get their heads into the game. At Gershwin Junior High School, music is their game.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Very delicious, come and get this. My flavor is so delicious. Raspberry dip, cherry, sugar daddy, yes, I'm sassy.
The name of our school is George Gershwin, IS 166, and we're located at 800 and Sickland Avenue in Brooklyn, and that is the East New York area. Some of our special programs are in terms of academics. We run the Integrated Algebra Regents program. We offer
notation. This would be 3.1 times 10 to the negative fifth.
Our school, George Gershwin, is named after the famous pianist, and we have an interest in having our students in our community learn different types of music and have different types of musical programs.
Bang!
What?
Bang!
What?
Until, huh?
We offer a drumline program for students for marching band, and this year we're working with Carnegie Hall in order to implement the brass of it. So hopefully by the end of this school year we will have a marching band with uniforms. We have a state-of-the-art music studio. It was conceived here at IS 166 back in 2005, and it came to fruition in 2007.
The studio program is an elective for the students, and they have opted to be in here. We do music as well as now video recording and the sort of studio side, the production side as well.
I think that this is the only junior high school that has a recording studio, and I feel special that we got an opportunity to do something.
I think it's good because they told me, like most other junior high schools don't get this opportunity. I have a booth and all this material to make songs and stuff, so it's good.
It's so unique that it allows the students to come in and learn from the most basic level how to create music, and electronic music as well as organic music, you know, on the drums, or even the band is sort of related to this as well.
We didn't know nothing when we first came in, so he had to teach us. So we was like going through some weeks of learning how to do it. And then he just let us go, and that's when it became more fun.
Understand these stories like green eggs and ham. When you take your first step to say your first word, your tools are re-stimulated and fitted. Keep you on and never quit, because they know you can be someone from within. Person that would never sin or follow sin. Baby steps is over.
So we need to figure out a hook.
Well, when the first time I went to the booth, I really didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to say nothing or nothing. And then, like, as time progressed, when we did our first song, I started learning, and this time it's much better than the first time. I was born in Brooklyn, 531. I grew up in PH, yeah, that's the hood. Growing up in the hood wasn't so easy. Seeing people getting shot in every corner, every block, I had to learn my rights.
It allows them to come in and sit down and create beats, and then they create lyrics. I think that the products that they've come out with are really surprising, shockingly good. I mean, just the understanding of music already in the students is so apparent.
It's Miss Rain, fresh, classic, cute as can be. Excuse me, I'm stepping on the runway. Ain't no stopping me now because my style is insane. Retro, Crayola all day, lady rock star, and she coming out with no play. My swag so sick that haters stop and compliment these boys going crazy. So these birds trying to reinvent. I'm the queen, so you better bow down. I'm the one that's wearing the crown. We're the one the boys want and the girls wanna be, so don't hate us. Cause we about that G thing. Insane. Ladies going crazy. And
we have students behind behind the artist side and doing the production, learning how to run the mixing board as well as the computer program Pro Tools that we use, and learning how to listen to audio, how to mix audio.
Recording, make sure you're looking at her. She's going to tell you if you're too low or if you're too loud.
These students are becoming artists, some of them, they're becoming producers, and in a way we're preparing them to go into further studies.
It's like racquetball and it's similar to volleyball. Volleyball has been around for at least 30 years. It was created out there in California where most things are it's a pretty creative environment out there. And joining me also to discuss the sport is Eric Archer and the executive of Volleyball International, George Cassius. Welcome, gentlemen. This is what, your third year here, right? Yeah. And is the sport, is it growing?
Sport is growing at grassroots level. You'll see it in the different colleges. A lot of college kids playing volleyball now. A lot of YMHAs, YMCAs all playing volleyball. So yeah, the sport has been growing.
Still in development. Would you say here on the East Coast it's in its developmental stages?
I would say the East Coast is growing. The Midwest is really very, very big because they have lots of racquetball courts there. And the West Coast, people still go to the beach.
Before we get more into our conversation, explain what is volleyball?
Volleyball is volleyball played in a racquetball court. You play 3 against 3 or 2 against 2. We actually have a book that shows, here you could see the net goes across, it's strung across the court, the same height as a regular volleyball court, and the side walls are good.
Cool. And also the rules also?
The rules are very similar to volleyball. The main difference being that you can block and spike a serve, and open hand dinks, which is this kind of shot, is not good. As far as equipment, we have the equipment is very inexpensive to play volleyball. You have, I use my knee pads, you have sneakers, a shirt, shorts, and this antique hat that I've been using for the past 20 years.
And the ball.
And thank you very much.
The ball is blue instead of...
The ball is blue so you can see it against the white walls because the side walls are good.
Now, Eric, as far as last year, your season, last year, let's go over last year. How did your season go last year?
Well, last year, the season, we actually had the King of the Court, and that took place in Eastern Athletic. And the last 6 players...
Right there in Brooklyn Heights, right?
In Brooklyn Heights, Eastern Athletic in Brooklyn Heights. And we actually had 6-player finalists with actually Jose Infante, Tony Bonilla, Ben Smith, Alvin Rodriguez, Mike Salek, and myself. We actually went to the final.
And when did your season start also?
Well, we usually start in October.
October?
Yes.
As far as also last year, when you look at the season as far as last year, it was a long stretch. What else did you play? You played the Eastern Athletic Club? You played up and down the East Coast? Or?
Well, we did a little traveling around the East Coast.
Mostly the East Coast. We spent time in Maryland, Washington, close to the president's house. Actually, we know that Bush is a player, but we never got to play in there.
He plays well?
Yeah, him and his dad both played. That was reported by Newsweek magazine. That's a fact.
The trophy right here.
This trophy has been, this is from our volleyball event. We've been doing volleyball King of the Court for the past 12 years. And in order to maintain it, it's still here because you've got to win it 3 years in a row. And so far, no one player has won it for 3 years in a row. We've had top players each win the event, but not 3 years in a row. So it's still here with us.
Now, when you play this game, you could play doubles?
Triples.
Triples?
Yes. Triples is the main event in volleyball. That's what more people like to watch. And the main difference between East Coast and West Coast, we usually play 2 players in the front, 1 in the back. In the West Coast, they play 1 in the front, 2 in the back. A different strategy. And Eric could probably talk more to that. He's been playing. Eric has won doubles, triples co-ed, and triples men's, all in one event. Very few players have been able to achieve that in the sport in 30 years.
Well, it was hard work, pretty much. It takes a lot of physical, practice. You have to be in shape. And basically, I just get on the court and do what I'm supposed to do. Where mainly my defense, and outside hitter. So
training. How do you go about training every day?
Well, a lot of running. A lot of running, I guess. Weight training, so.
jump training.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I also picked up on this sport also, it's a co-ed sport, is it?
Co-ed, you could have men's, women's, or co-ed, all three divisions.
Right. And where does your team rank right now within the system, within the league? Is there a league also?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're actually national champion for how many years, George, you say?
Well, we started competing in 1981, so since 1981, we've lost only twice. One time was against a young man called Ken Steffers, who ended up winning a gold medal in the United States Olympics. And that's the one I remember. I can't remember the second time.
Well, I want you to hold that thought. We're going to come back with more of the conversation about volleyball right after this. The sports landscape in Brooklyn, some would say, is still in its developmental stages. When it comes to baseball, the Brooklyn Cyclones are as solid as a rock at Keyspan Park in Coney Island. However, when it comes to basketball, the question is, when are the Nets coming to Brooklyn, or are they really coming? Meanwhile, the Brooklyn Aces are in their inaugural season at the Aviator Sportsplex and are picking up a whole new fan base.
What the Cyclones have done over the last 7 years, I guess they've been here, it's been tremendous. And when we came in this year, we want to try to kind of work from what the Cyclones have done to be as successful as they've been in the past, and knowing that the Nets are probably going to come here in another year or so. And hopefully, for us, it's really becoming a part of the Brooklyn culture. When they think about Brooklyn, they think about Brooklyn sports. Obviously the Cyclones, the Brooklyn Aces, and hopefully for Brooklyn, the Nets will come here and be a part of that tradition as well. And it's for us, our guys love it here. I mean, a lot of our guys from the Midwest and West Coast, and just to come close to New York City and experience what that's like. And I don't think there's any better sports fans anywhere. The Eastern Professional Hockey League is basically a single-A pro league, basically a breeding ground for the East Coast Hockey League, which is the premier double-A league.